Hi everyone, I'm Sylvie. So in this video, we're going to discuss and we're going to learn about morphology, structure of words, and morphology processes in linguistic. So stay tuned in my video. Morphology is the study of word structure. Morphology studies the internal structure of words, focusing on how they are built from smaller units called morphemes. Morphology also explores how these words can relate to each other in language. And now, morphemes. What do you think about morphemes? Or what do you know about morphemes? So, as I mentioned earlier, morphemes are the smallest unit of linguistics that conveys meaning regularly across the words. Morpheme can be root distinct or an affix. Root is the base form of word, while an affix is an additional part of a word that can be placed at the beginning, prefix, middle, infix, and end of a word or suffix. Morpheme can be free or bound. So, what's the meaning of bound and seal in morpheme? Morpheme is free if it can stand alone as an independent word in a sentence. And meanwhile, a morpheme is bound if it cannot stand alone but must be connected to another morpheme. Here I will give you an example of morphemes. The first example is cat. Cat is include the root because it is cat is a base form word and s is suffix because including the affix at the end of words. And cat is free because it is word that can stand alone. Meanwhile, s cannot stand alone, so s is including in bound. Now, we're going to discuss about bound morphemes. Bound morphemes operates in the connection processes by means of derivation, inflection, and compounding. So, let's discuss one by one about derivation, inflection, and compounding. Derivation morphology is concerned with the way morphemes are connected to existing lexical forms as affixes. I will give you a kind of derivational morphology. The first one is prefixes. Prefixes is attached at the beginning of a lexical item or past morpheme. For example, an, pre, post, ein, and so on. And the second one is suffixes. Suffixes attached at the end of a lexical item. For example, h, in, full, able, nas, could, li, and so on. Derivational morphology also created a new word, change the category of words, and change the meaning of word. I will give you some kinds of derivational affixes can mark category change. I will give you 3 kinds and also sample. The first one is suffixable. Suffixable or verb to adjective, implying an ability with a passive relation with its theme. For example, it including verb plus able and will be eatable, adjective. Means able to be eaten, communicable, not able to eat. The second one is suffix er or verb to noun, indicating a human agent or an inanimate instrument. For example, speak is verb plus er and will be speaker is noun. And third is suffix full, noun to adjective. Suffix full indicate addition and abundance. For example, care is noun plus full and to be careful, adjective. And next is inflection morphology. Inflection is a morphological process that adapts existing words so that they function effectively in sentences without changing the category of a following base morpheme. The first is verb inflection suffixes. The first is the suffix s function in the present simple, the third person, marking of the verb. For example, to work and to be he works. And second, the suffix ed or regular verbs function in the marking of the past participle and in general in the marking of the perfect aspect. For example, to study, to be studied. And then noun inflection suffixes. The first, the suffix in, function in the marking of present participle, the gerund, and in making of the continuous aspect. For example, to eat and to be eating. The second, the suffix s function in the marking of the plural of nouns. For example, dog into dogs. And last one is adjective inflection suffixes. The first, the suffix r functions as a comparative marker. For example, quick into a quicker. The second, the suffix s functions as superlative marker. For example, quick to quicker. Okay, so that's all about morphological structure of word and linguistic. But not only that, because now we will learn again about morphological processes. There are half-edged types of morphological processes. The first is affixation, compounding, reduplication, conversion or zero derivation, clipping, blending, acronymy, and initialism, and the last is suppletion. Let's rediscuss one by one again. The first types of morphological processes is affixation. At the previous material, we have discussed about affixation. So, what's the meaning of affixation? Affixation is adding a bond morphemes or affix to root words. There are three kinds of affixation. The first is prefix, is at the beginning of words, and suffix at the end of words, and third, infix, inserted within a word, but the infix is rare in English. We can see the example of infix. So, unbelievable to unfreaking unbelievable, or in Indonesian meaning we have tunjuk to be telunjuk. And the second one is compounding. Compounding is combining two or more free morphemes to form a new word. And an example, tooth plus brush and to be toothbrush. And then sun and flower to be sunflower. And the third type of morphological processes is reduplication. Reduplication is same with repeating all of part of word to create a new form. The kind of reduplication is full reduplication. It means repeating the entire word. For example, bye-bye, go-go, and so on. And partial reduplication is repeating part of the word. Example, mama, from ma. The next types of morphological processes is conversions or zero derivation. Conversions is meant to changing the word class without adding any affixes. For example, book for noun to book for verb. And sentence example, I read a book. This is a noun, and I will book hotel for our trip. This is verb. And the next type is blending. Blending is combining parts of two or more words to form a new word. For example, brunch from breakfast plus lunch, and smoke from smoke plus fall. So to be smoke. Clipping Clipping is shortening a word by deleting part of it. For example, telephone and advertisement. Telephone we deleted tele and become phone, and we deleted advertisement and become ad. Next is acronymy and initialism. Acronyms is a word formed from the initial letters of phrase pronounced as a word. For example, NASA. So we mention a vocal word, NASA, not NASA. And for initialism is words formed from initial letters, but each letter is pronounced separately. For example, BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation. So, the last types of morphological processes is suppletion. Suppletion is the process where irregular forms of a word are created from completely different roots. For example, go become when, and another example is bad become worse and then become worse. So it's different roots. Okay guys, I think that's all my explanation about material, morphology, the structure of words in linguistic and morphological processes. I'm sorry if I make mistake in my explanation because I'm still learn, so we are still learn together in here. And thanks for watching and see you!